This is Wide Angle. I am Oral Butt, bringing you another common sense conversation. Well, this conversation is with you, and this conversation is about the bizarre show that is going on in the world, but primarily unfolding, rather being projected from America. Now, why do we talk about America? There's a reason for that. America is a democracy. America is an educated country. America is a people who understand the nuances of democracy to a large extent. America as a model may not be perfect one. There could be better models. There are much better democracies, more vibrant democracies, more resilient democracies in Europe. But not much is happening there. Probably because of their democracies, because of their perfection, they are able to operate the democracy in a smoother way. There has been the turbulence in Ukraine, and all the Europe has stood up in true tradition to support it, to speak against the aggressor. But otherwise, not much is happening there. And USA is a more happening place. Things that happen in USA, they come to affect almost the whole of globe, and hence it is always good to take USA as a model and see what we can learn from there, how we can project it onto our own place, and how we can understand the operation of democracy in a real working model in real time. So we go to America, and right yesterday, a very bizarre thing has happened in USA. But then the whole show that has been going on there for the last year or so is anything but bizarre. The show that has been going on there is not anything if it is not bizarre. And recently, Melania Trump, President Trump's wife, has come out all of a sudden and told a white, blatant lie about Jeffrey Epstein and her not being in any way involved with her. And that is sure to bring the focus upon Melania, upon Trump, upon Epstein. And why did she do it? To understand that, we probably need to go back to Trump, the operation of democracy in America, and probably the way a democracy can be subverted. How a rich brat, a rich, spoiled brat, one should say, got the educated and democratic Americans to vote him to power, to the highest office in the world, not only in USA, but in the world, is a great study in itself. That was 2016. One thought that Americans had seen enough of him and they voted him out of power, though he did not accept it. And again, there was a large chunk of people who really did seem to believe the lies Trump belted out that the election had been stolen from him. And the result was that Trump got re-elected after one term. It must be one of the very rare instances where a US president, once voted out of power, has been reinstated, brought back to power after a gap of a full term. So that is a study in itself. But what we have been seeing in USA over the last year is bizarre fireworks, distraction, media manipulation, and a blatant refusal to accept the realities. Trump came back to power on three counts. One of the most prominent of these was throwing migrants out. The second was that he would recuse America from all the wars in the world. And the third was he would expose everything about Epstein. But then once he had taken power, once he had seen all the documents that were there with Epstein, and of course, as the documents tell us, Trump's name appears thousands of times. One reporter has counted 36,000 times there. And of course, Trump would have known about it. But probably he did believe that he could turn the tide, which was pretty much directed against him, and throw it off to other people. And with that thing in view, he did release soon after his taking over a dossier on Epstein. But then media began to ask questions. Now, media in America is another study. There is a part of media which is, as they say it, which has been bought by Trump and his cronies. And so they are belting out all the Trump friendly stories, and they are trying to answer all the objections that are being raised against Trump. That is, this media is generally, it is not a state media in USA, but it is generally dubbed state media. Then there is the social media. Media manipulation is something which has come to be the bane of democratic functioning, democratic operation. Media seems to be the tool through which people are manipulated, opinions are created, questions are answered, all without any liability. And the way Trump has been doing it, it is very superb in a number of respects. But then there is a strong independent media there, and then social media is also pretty strong. And those people, they did stand up. Trump tried to subdue them, and it backfired. And the backfiring was so intense that Epstein became the epicenter of everything that was happening in the second term. Trump tried to bring in the tariffs and tried to distract attention from it. But the people turned Epstein into a more furious focus, with the result that that distraction didn't help. People do not know why Trump went for Iran war. But it is quite possible that it was because of the intense heat that social media in America had generated around Epstein. So for a time, there was distraction, there was war, bombs everywhere, destruction, devastation, and that devastation came home to roost. It threatened to unhinge the Trumpian narrative in a more devastating way than Epstein had done. So today we had all of a sudden Trump's wife Melania coming in and belting out lies in front in a suo moto statement of sorts, which American media, especially the social media, is debating right now, and probably it will again turn into a very fierce demand for more accountability on Trump, more transparency on Trump, on Epstein, and reignite the debate. It, the consequence, the result of all this is that there is no escape from Trump, even without all these distractions which he has written not only into American operations, but into the American history and the world history, whether it is tariffs, whether it is Epstein files, which brought in a storm in all over Europe and though in Asian countries, people have just taken it into stride. Probably they are so very oppressed, so very used to misuse of power, so very used to injustice against the innocents, against the rape of minors, against the atrocious conduct of the people in power, that there does not seem to be much of an accounting in other parts except America and Europe. That is another reason why we have to look up to the free world. Now, take China. Suppose something had happened there. We had the instances of many generals being superseded there, simply thrown out. Suppose something like that had taken place in Russia, and it did take place there. Scandals came out in Russia, but they were smothered. Nothing came out, nothing was allowed to come out. But in America, even with a great deal of manipulative power, media manipulation in the hands of Trump, the things are coming out and they are getting to the people, they are affecting people, they are affecting the persons in power, and they are showing that democracy does work, though it has to contend with many challenges. And in all this, the most important thing is media. US may be able to reinstate democracy, to reinstate accountability, to bring the narrative on an even keel with the media, the social media. And we have to learn from that. We have to learn that media can be manipulated, that media is manipulated, media is bought. Then there is a very sinister way. Media is given tasks that they should not debate this A point, they should debate a distraction. And then there is the very strange ploy whereby you utter lies, and media has to take it up. If you have got a tame media, if you have got a media all in your lab, you make it, speak of it to defend your position, as the Fox media and others in America would be doing. But then there is a strong social media in America, and there is also half of the media there has not been bought. It is still independent, and it is calling in question all these distractions. That is the reason that administration there, Trump there, is not able to muffle the voices. That is a lesson which democracy has to learn, has to operationalize, has to enforce, has to imbibe. Democracy, governance, accountability is all about freedom of speech, freedom of expression, the right to ask questions, the responsibility to answer questions. That is what the rulers had to agree to when the autocracies saw their demise. And that questioning, that accountability has to be reinforced, it has to be operationalized again, it has to be emphasized, it has to be practiced. And there, USA is a good model for us. We have to see how the tyrannies are to be faced, how the rule of law has to be enforced, how one person's narrative should not be allowed to smother all other narratives, all other questions, all other voices, all other expressions. For we live for freedom. Thank you very much.